guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Elle here, and in today's video I thought I would just talk through my favourite makeup brushes. I put up a little poll on my Instagram story yesterday, I couldn't remember when it was, yesterday sorry, asking if you guys wanted to see me do like a sort of glam neutral spotlight eye or if I should do my favourite brushes, and you guys voted for my favourite makeup brushes. So here we go. I'm going to try to split it to like face and eye brushes. But yeah, so I'm not going to blab on too much in my intro. I'm going to get straight on into it. Before I do, I just want to quickly say, if you're new here, hello, my name's Elle and I make makeup and beauty related videos here on YouTube. If you haven't already, click the little subscription box down below because that would mean the world to me. Also, make sure you do give this video a huge thumbs up if you are enjoying it as well. And make sure to check out some of my other videos, which are like makeup tutorials mostly. Yeah, anyways, let's just jump straight in to this video. Okay guys, so starting off with the face brushes first, which are, I just dropped one of them here, plus another one that's just now fallen on the floor. So I'm just going to say a lot of my face brushes, they are peaches and cream. Just saying, sorry. They are. So let's get started. So this is the first one. This is from Spectrum. So we're starting off with the foundation. I have two foundation brushes here to show you. So this is the first one from Spectrum. This is a B01 brush, B01. It has one off, and this is what it looks like. It is a flat top, like almost like that kabuki. You know what I'm saying. It's a flat top buffing brush. Also, just to say as well, there are only two Spectrum brushes that I'll be showing you today, but my Spectrum brushes, the ones that I have, are from the Glam Clam brush set. I don't think they still sell it anymore, but they do still sell the actual brushes. They just have like a different colour handle and different coloured bristles. They're just not in this colour anymore. Mine's so stained. I clean all my brushes before doing this video, but some of them are still really stained, including this one, as you can see. So this brush I like to use for my foundation. Obviously it is a foundation brush. With brushes, there's no right or wrong way to use them necessarily. Like if you've got a certain brush and it might be like a certain, I don't know, it could be like a blush brush technically, but you like to use it for bronzer or something, like there's no harm in that. Like you do you. As long as it works and as long as it's looking good, there's no problem. But yeah, this is a good for foundation. So obviously it does have that flat top, which makes it really good just for buffing that into the skin. I know I say this a lot on my channel when I'm applying my makeup, but I bounce the brush on my skin rather than blending it around, just because I think you get a better coverage from your foundation. And what I like about this brush is I don't think it absorbs too much of your foundation, so you still get a nice coverage. Moving on. The next brush is very, very similar, just slightly different, and this is from Peaches and Cream. It's a PC19 brush. This is the brush I probably use most of the time for my foundation. I absolutely love it, and as you can see, it's not got the flat top. It almost does actually come to a point in a way. It's sort of like more curved, and then it has like a little tapers off at the top, and that's what that looks like. So that's the difference, but it basically does the exact same thing. I just find that because it is more sort of rounded than tapered rather than flat, it just gives a more smooth finish to the foundation. Like I don't find that you get as many like sort of harsh lines left over. Like you don't have to blend for as long, I don't think. But yeah, they are my absolute favourite foundation brushes. Like I said, this Peaches and Cream one I use probably the most. You see this a lot on my channel. But yeah, these are my two favourite foundation brushes. I do like to use a sponge sometimes, but honestly I do prefer a brush. I just find it so much easier. Plus whenever I sit down to do my makeup, even if I do think I'm going to use a sponge today, I've forgotten to go and damp my beauty blender, and I can't bother to get back up, so I just use a brush anyway. So yeah, they are my two favourite foundation brushes. So next up we've got another Peaches and Cream, and I nearly said blush, then it's a brush. So this brush, I like to use this one for concealer underneath my eyes. I guess you could also use this for powder underneath the eyes as well. It's a PC27 brush from Peaches and Cream. As you can see, if I just bring the foundation brush back, they are very similar. This is just smaller, so it's still got that sort of tapered, what am I trying to say? It's still quite tapered. The bristles are still quite tapered, and you get what I'm saying. You can see the difference, but it's just a little bit smaller. So I really like to use this for blending out concealer, just to get right underneath the eye, on the chin, on the forehead. But if I've done any eyeshadow like today I will go in with a smaller brush to blend out my concealer around my eyeshadow afterwards, but just to blend the majority of it I really like to use this brush. But like I said, you could also use this for powder underneath the eye, like a loose powder would go on really well with this brush as well. But I use this for my concealer underneath my eyes. I like to use this one for my concealer. And then to go with that one, kind of, this is another Peaches and Cream brush, sorry guys, and it's a PC18 brush. This is what it looks like. It's a little bit more rounded rather than the tapered off, as you can see. It's also slightly shorter, so it's nice for buffing, and I like to use this for cream contour, or cream bronzer as I call it on my channel. So if you watch any of my videos where I'm showing you how I do my skin, you'll notice if I do a cream bronzer, whatever product I'm using, which is mainly the Fast Base foundation stick from Makeup Revolution, I tend to just draw that on, and I will just sort of bounce this, sort of like I would if I was applying foundation, but obviously it's smaller, and I would do it in a more precise area rather than all over, and that's what I like to just blend in my cream contour or cream bronzer. Yeah, and it's just really nice. It's kind of nice and petite, so it just fits really nice right underneath the cheekbones, as you can see, also on the hairline, the jawline, etc. It's just really good for that. And like I said, it's slightly shorter than, the bristles are slightly shorter than the one I use for concealer, so it's just good for really packing and buffing that into the skin. This is just natural powder setting powder brush. This is what I use. Again, it's a Peaches and Cream brush. I'm sorry, it's a PC04 brush. I absolutely love the Peaches and Cream brushes. If you haven't tried them before, you really need to, and they're so inexpensive as well. I think it's £15 for 3 brushes. I want to say, I could be wrong. I think that's what it is. Like I said, I could be wrong, but if you haven't tried the Peaches and Cream brushes already, you really need to, because they're amazing. So this is what this one looks like. If I just hold it up in comparison to the other Peaches and Cream brushes, so we've got the foundation, concealer, cream bronzer or cream contour, whatever, and then this is the powder. So it's slightly on the larger side like the foundation brush, but it's more tapered and it's got longer bristles. I'd say it's most similar to the one I use for the cream, for the concealer. As you can see, it's just a lot bigger than it, which is why I like to use it for powder, just to dust it all over the skin. So next up we have my favourite 2 bronzer brushes, and they are both from MAC. Unfortunately, MAC brushes are expensive. Also, annoyingly, MAC changed their brushes to synthetic. Now I have no issue with that, because I'm pretty sure the Spectrum and the Peaches and Cream brushes are synthetic. Synthetic brushes can be amazing, and a lot of the Zoeva brushes that I use are synthetic as well. The only annoying thing about MAC's synthetic brushes is they just didn't get it quite right. They didn't get it quite right. And then they still charge like a ridiculous amount, like you need to take out a bank loan to be able to buy their brushes. That's my only problem. But right, the first one I'll show you, this one is actually a synthetic brush, and that's they actually got this one right, okay? And that's because when they brought out this brush, they didn't have this brush already. They brought it out as a synthetic brush, and they managed to get it right. Mine's from one of the Christmas collections, which is why the handle is pink and why it's a short handle. I do have the normal long handle one, but I have that one in my kit instead of from like my personal use. But this is what it looks like, and it's just a really big fan brush, but it's quite chunky, as you can see. Not like, let me get you another fan brush just to show you the difference. So like this, for example, is a Zoeva fan brush. So as you can see, it's a lot chunkier. Obviously this is something you would use for highlight, whereas this is really nice for bronzer. Like I said, it's nice and chunky, and I just like to use this sort of edge, and you can just get right into the hollows of the cheeks. As you can see, it just fits very nicely just to go back and forth. So this is a really lovely brush for doing your bronzer or your contour. You could use it for blush as well. You could use like that side of it for the blush. So it is a very good like all around brush. Like I said, this one is synthetic, but they actually got this one right because of the fact that they brought it out as a synthetic brush. They didn't have a natural head version and then turned it synthetic. They just brought it out as a synthetic brush. So that one is pretty good, I will say. Now this one is my favourite bronzer brush, and I use this quite a lot. This is the natural hair one, because obviously I used to work for MAC, so I do have a lot of their brushes. I use most of them in my kit, but I do have some in my personal collection as well. So this is one of the natural head brushes before they went synthetic, and it's a 135 brush. You'll probably have seen this brush a lot on my channel. I use this all the time for bronzer. It's obviously got really nice long bristles, and it is quite flimsy, as you can see, but I just think that it helps for blending out your powder bronzer really nicely. And then, as you can see, similar to the fan brush, when you have them that way, it's sort of like a similar shape. This one's a little bit fuller and fluffier, but again, it's just really nice to get right into the hollows of the cheeks. I use this for my bronzer today, and I absolutely love this brush. Now, as I was saying, MAC have now changed their brushes to synthetic. In all honesty, I've not looked at their brushes for a long time, so they might have like improved with the quality of the synthetic brushes since, but when I worked at MAC, which was that 2 years ago when I left? I think something like that. It was 2 years ago when I left. It was 2018 when I left, and they just sort of brought out the synthetic versions of the brushes. I won't lie, they weren't very good in my opinion. Like, the quality just wasn't there, but like I said before, you start to take out a bank loan to be able to afford them. So yeah, if you can get your hands on the natural head version, definitely give it a go, because it is amazing. Or just any brush that is similar shaped like this, because they are really nice. Or it may be back of just stepped up the game with the synthetic brush quality, but like I said, 2 years ago the synthetic brushes weren't great, but maybe they've improved since then. But this is such a good bronzer brush. So we've got a blush brush now. I've only got one blush brush. No, I've got other blush brushes, but I mean, I've only got like one favourite blush brush, if that makes sense. And this is actually just from Real Techniques. It doesn't have a number. It is literally just called a blush brush. And this is what it looks like. So it does have very long bristles, almost just like, it kind of looks like an egg. Do you not think that sort of looks like an egg? But yeah, that is what it looks like. Obviously it's nice and rounded, so I just like to use the tip of it for applying my blusher. I use this today, and it's just really nice just to disperse the product all over the cheek. It's really good because I feel like it does pack on the colour, because it's quite dense. It's not too flimsy, if that makes sense. So it's quite dense, so it does really pack on the colour, but it's really nice for blending it out as well, which I really like. And it's really soft. Like really soft, just saying. And then last on the face brushes are two highlighter brushes. So the first one's from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I genuinely do not know the number of this. I really should have had a look online before I started filming. I can't really look now because I film with my phone, so I'm sorry. But it's just the highlighter brush from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I don't think they do too many brushes, so I don't think it would be too hard to figure out which one it is on their website. I think this was like the first brush that they brought out, other than like the eyeshadow brushes that you used to get inside the palettes. This was their first brush that they actually launched, and I do still absolutely love this for applying highlighter. I like that it's quite small, it's nice and petite, so it's really good just for really getting that colour on the cheekbones like there. But I didn't use, I did use this brush today. I was like, I didn't use this brush today, but I did use this brush today, and this is the result. Like, yeah, this is just a really, really, really nice highlighter brush. The other highlighter brush that I love to use is, again, a peaches and cream brush. Again, I'm sorry guys. And this is a PC28 brush. This is what it looks like. Again, it's really nice and petite, so I really like petite brushes for applying my highlight. I just think they work the best because you can really pack the colour on and blend it out without going in too large of an area. I think sometimes when highlighting brushes are too big, you end up getting like highlight all around here, when I just like to concentrate highlighter right on the high points of my cheekbones. Any other glow you see is just from my blusher. But yeah, so I really like any kind of petite highlighter brush. Again, just in comparison to the other peaches and cream brushes, this is what it looks like. So it's a lot thinner really than any of the other brushes. Again, it's got quite long bristles. If anything, it's most similar to the PC27 brush, which was the brush I used for concealer. It's like literally PC27 and then PC28, so it's most similar to that, but it's just not as dense and also a little bit smaller as well. So that is all of my face brushes. Before I move on to eye brushes, I'm just going to say what I use to clean my brushes. So I use the ISO Clean. I don't know if this It's just the Eyeshadow Clean Makeup Brush Cleanser, Cleaner, whatever you want to call it. This is absolutely amazing. I love this. It's got aloe vera in it as well. It says right here, if you can see. It's got aloe vera in it. So it's really good for conditioning the brushes. It's not going to leave them like dry and scratchy. It's just going to make them nice and soft, which is one thing that I like. And I'm sure with Eyeshadow Clean, you can actually just buy refills. So you'd get your bottle like the first time, and then instead of throwing this away and buying another bottle, you can just get like a refill and just like pour it in there, which is pretty good. So I thought that was very, very good. And also with Eyeshadow Clean, if you are a makeup artist or if you're in like the sort of beauty industry, you can get a discount. You just go on their website and apply online, you can get a discount. I can't remember how much the discount is, but put it this way, I got this bottle and another bottle. How many mil are in this? Is in this? Does it say on the bottle? 500 ml. So I got this 500 ml bottle and another 500 ml bottle. The only difference is this one has the pump and the other one doesn't. Plus it also came with like, it's almost like a little petri dish. So you pour the brush cleaner into the petri dish, you dip your brush in it, swirl it around, and then dry it off on some tissue, and that cost me like £18. So I mean, that's pretty good. I think without the discount it's like 30 something, but the discount is really, really good. Obviously they do sell I think they sell smaller bottles or they sell single bottles, so obviously if you can't get the discount you don't have to spend 30 odd quid. It can be cheaper than that as well. But I just thought I'd share with you what I use to clean my brushes before going onto the eyes. I feel like I've been like talk like, oh my god, Ellen, breathe. So I'll move on to the eye brushes. So I'm going to start off first with another Peaches and Cream brush. Sorry guys, this is the last Peaches and Cream brush now, I swear. This is the last one, and you will see this pretty much every single time I do my makeup on camera. Well, pretty much I always use this brush. Like I always use this brush, and it's the PC52 brush, and I use this to apply the P. Louise base, or if I'm using concealer instead, a concealer to my eyes. So it's very, very good. I usually carve out the brow with it and then apply it primer all over my eye with it as well. It's just really good. It's a really thin brush, as you can see, if you can see. Can you see that? Yeah, you can probably see that. It's a very, very thin brush. So it's really good for getting right underneath the brow, carving out the brow, and then obviously it's got quite long bristles as well, so it's good just for packing on the base all over the eye, because I don't like anything that's too small. I like to have a bit of a bigger brush for patting it. Obviously I still want it thin, as you can see, but I just mean like I want a large area of brush to be able to get the base on. I don't want to be like with a little tiny brush trying to like going at it for ages trying to get this base all over my eye. So that is one thing that I absolutely love about this brush. And again, I cleaned all of these brushes, but some of them are stained. This one's a little bit stained. But yeah, so I absolutely love this brush for applying my P. Louise base and carving out my brows. Next up is another Spectrum brush. So like I said, there were two Spectrum brushes that are going to be shown in this video, and this is the other one. Now I always say in my videos, I don't know the number of this because it's worn off, and before I started filming I did actually Google, I did some Googling, and it's a B06 brush. So like I said again, like I said previously, sorry about the other Spectrum brush, this is from the Glam Glam brush set. I don't think they still sell the brush set anymore, but you can still buy this brush. It will just have a different colour handle and different colour bristles, but other than that it's the exact same brush, and I absolutely love this for concealer. So like I said, when I do my concealer, if I can find the brush, so I use the Peaches and Cream brush for doing my concealer underneath my eye, my chin, on my forehead, etc. And then I said if I've done like any eyeshadow sort of underneath the eye, I like to take a smaller brush so I can be more precise with blending my concealer around the eyeshadow, and this is the brush I would use. So what I would do is I would just use the Peaches and Cream one and sort of like pat that all over to blend in the concealer, and then when there's a less concealer, like sort of, I don't know how to explain what I mean by this. Sometimes I just think when you've like gone in with like you Wonder or whatever and put the concealer straight on, and then if you were to take a small brush and start blending around your eyeshadow, there's too much concealer there and then it just sort of ruins the eyeshadow, which is why I like to take a bigger brush, mostly blend out the concealer so it's already mostly blended, and then with the little bit that's left over I go in with the smaller brush then, and then I blend around the eyeshadow, and I just think it looks a lot more seamless, more flawless. You're not going to start hiding away the eyeshadow you've laid down, because I think sometimes if you were just to go in straight away with a small brush with all that product there, all you actually do is just completely cover up the eyeshadow that's underneath your eye. So again, like I said, that's why I do the bigger brush and then do the little smaller brush afterwards, and that's the one I use. I've done the P. Louise base with the PC52 brush and I've patted that all over. I like to just then go in with the B06 brush from Spectrum to blend out the edges of it, just because I don't like any harsh lines. So obviously when you've put the base on, sometimes you'll have like a harsh line here and sort of here as well, so I just like to blend those out with this brush. Sorry, that was a really loud car. I just like to blend them out with this brush, just the edges of it, because I don't like any harsh lines. We know this, I don't like harsh lines. So yeah, this is good for concealer underneath the eye and blending out the P. Louise base at the edges as well. Next up, I have a lot of Zoeva brushes, so I'm sorry, I do. So I've got the 234 brush from Zoeva, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's just a flat shader brush, so I just really like to use this on the lid, whether I'm using it with shimmers, glitters, or matte shades. This is just what I like to use on my lid to apply eyeshadow. It can also be really good if you use the tip of it to do like underneath the lash line as well, on the lower lash line, sorry. So it's good for that, but mainly just use this for packing colours onto my lid. So I used this today to get all of the shimmer and the glitter onto my eyelid. If I can hold my lashes down so you can actually see what it looks like. So yeah, this is really good for just packing on any kind of colour onto the lid, so that is what I tend to use that brush for mostly. Then the next brush, another Zoeva brush, is the 237 brush. So this is just a really small detailer brush. I absolutely love this brush. I use this quite a lot to blend the eyeshadow on the lower lash line, so right underneath the eye. And then I also, you'll notice a lot of the time I like to do like a smoky liner, and I do that with eyeshadow rather than with an actual eyeliner. And I tend to use this brush quite a lot, so I'll just run it along top lash line as well as the bottom lash line, and it's just really good for getting that smoky liner effect with your eyeshadow. So I love this brush. It's also good for inner corner and brow bone, but I mostly use it for like a smoky liner effect. Next up, we've got our pencil brushes. So I've just got two here to show you that I use quite a lot. So I've got the Zoeva 230 brush. So you'll see this brush quite a lot on my channel. It's just a really small pencil brush. So it's, again, good for on your lower lash line. Pencil brushes, they are still slightly chunky even for the lower lash line, which is why I tend to use this one quite a lot. You've got to be sort of really careful if you are going to use it on your lower lash line so you don't take the colour down too far. Obviously for me, like this eye look, I've took my eyeshadow down too far, but the darker purple is what I would have used with the pencil brush, and the dark purple is still fairly tight to the lash line. It's not really far down, if that makes sense. So this is really good for packing on colour and just being really precise in the crease as well. I tend to use this in the crease a lot because as you'll notice when you watch my tutorials, I like to why can't I talk? I like to go in with a darker shade first rather than the lighter shade. So I tend to just use pencil brush, usually one of the Zoeva ones, and get that packed into the crease before blending out with a different brush. So I absolutely love this one. And then this one is a Morphe E18. I only just recently bought this and I absolutely love it. It is just another pencil brush. As you can see, it's not as tapered as the Zoeva one. It's a little bit chunkier, but that is the difference. So like I said, the Zoeva one is a lot more petite than the Morphe one. But I do still absolutely love the Morphe one. It does the same job. I just probably wouldn't use it so much on the lower lash line. I'd just use it in the crease to get the darker shades into the crease, and it is absolutely amazing. It really packs the colour on. It's quite a dense brush. Both of them are quite dense brushes, as you can see. So yeah, they are both very, very good for packing darker colours into your crease. But next up, I have three brushes here to show you because they are quite similar, and this is just sort of the next brush up. So when I'm doing my eyeshadow, like I said, I start off with the darkest shade first, and I would use like the pencil brushes, the smaller pencil brushes, to pack the darkest shade into my crease. You'd then want to be blending out that dark shade, but you wouldn't be going in with the lightest shade either. You'd just be sort of, how do I explain? I'm trying to explain this for you in like a way that makes sense. Obviously sometimes you'll use more than 3 eyeshadows, but we'll just say if you were using 3 eyeshadows, so you would do your darkest shade with the pencil brushes right in the crease. You'd then go in with the middle shade and you'd be using one of these brushes, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and then you'd go in with a lighter shade with the bigger brush. So these are for your middle shade. Let's say if you were to use 3 eyeshadows for a look, these are for your middle shade. We've got a Morphe, a Makeup Geek and a Zoeva brush. So you will have seen this one quite a lot on my channel, in my tutorials. It's a 231 from Zoeva. It's just sort of, I always refer to it as a bit of a chunkier pencil brush. It's still quite dense, but obviously not as dense as the actual pencil brush. So just to show you the comparison, this is the comparison next to the Zoeva pencil brush. So that's what it looks like. Obviously the bristles are a lot longer, they're a lot chunkier as well. Whereas you'll find this brush is really good for packing on the dark colour. You'll find brushes like this are good for packing on colour but also blending. You're not going to get a seamless blend from it, but you'll be able to blend the dark shade out whilst packing colour on. So that's what I tend to use these brushes for. The other two are very, very similar. This is from Makeup Geek. It doesn't have a number, it's just called their Defined Crease Brush, but it's very, very similar. It's just sort of that in-between of a blending and a pencil brush, if that's the only way I can think to describe them. And also the Morphe E17. So they're all very similar. I just wanted to try and show you a few different options for the style brushes. Obviously they are, as you can see, very, very similar brushes. They do pretty much the same thing. They're just slightly different because they're from different brands, and obviously every brand is going to do something a little bit different. But we've got, like I said, the Zoeva 231, the Makeup Geek Defined Crease Brush and the Morphe E17 brush, and that is what they look like. So again, they're very good for blending out the darkest shade but also packing on that middle shade as well. And I absolutely love these brushes. These are probably my favourite step in the eyeshadow application. Next up we have 2 brushes that are very good for cut crease, let's say, cut crease style makeup. Just to get really precise blending in the crease. So obviously the pencil brush is precise but it's packing on colour. I just think these are very good for very precise blending. As you can see, they are very, very thin brushes, if you can see. So we have the Morphe E507 brush and the MAC 221 brush. Again, this was before MAC changed to synthetic. And it's very stained, it's clean, but it's so stained. I obviously use this with a pink shade quite a lot because it's completely stained pink. But yeah, I absolutely love these brushes. Just to show you in comparison to the last 3 brushes that I showed you, just so you get an idea. They are thinner, they're a lot thinner than the other brushes and are a lot more flimsy. I'll just show you what I mean by that. So this is one of the brushes that I use with the middle shade that I showed you before versus the brushes I'm showing you right now. So I just find you can blend out with these ones nicer than the other ones. So they are very nice, especially this one because as you can see it's quite tapered. This one was tapered but I've used it quite a lot, so it's obviously poofed out a little bit, let's just say. But you can get right into the crease to blend the shades, which is absolutely amazing with these brushes. That's one thing I absolutely love about them. They're just nice and petite and precise to get in to the in with the eyeshadow. I can't talk. Also, I know I'm showing you a lot of brushes here, just so you know, and obviously some of them might do very similar things, some of them are very different. I don't use all of these brushes for one eye look. Let's just clarify that right now. I wouldn't sit down and do this eye look and use every single brush that I've showed you. But next up we've got our blending brushes. So these are the ones that you'd use with the last shade. I'll talk about this one first. This is the Zoeva, I think it's a 232 brush. It has start to wear off, sorry. This is what it looks like. It's just a very nice big fluffy brush. So this is what I would use to use that lightest shade with, and really blend out the edges all along the eyeshadow. That way I can get a really nice seamless blend. I've not got any harsh lines. So that is what I would use that for. The next brush is very, very similar to that, but it's a little bit more fluffier. It's not as dense and it's not as tapered, and it's a MAC 224 brush, which looks like this. Again, this is before it was made synthetic. The synthetic one is a little bit more tapered and a little bit more dense, I find, than the original. But yeah, this is really good just to blend out all of the edges of the eyeshadow. One thing I like to do with this brush as well is if you are doing a look that you don't want to be blown out, so obviously not the look I've done today because this was meant to be blown out. If you wanted to do a look where you were trying to keep things tighter to the crease and you accidentally took the eyeshadow up too high, one thing that I really like to do is just take this brush, the 224, I would get either on a very light eyeshadow, like one that's my skin tone, or I'd use my face powder with it, and then I would just dust around the edges, and it sort of just takes the eyeshadow down a little bit and sort of mutes it a little bit if you do take it up too high. So that is a very good tip that I thought I'd share with you. So I absolutely love this brush. Most of the time this brush, by the way guys, sorry, I'm going back and forth, so I hope this makes sense. Whereas with the 232 brush from Zoeva, I would actually use the lightest shade. Like, say today the lightest shade I used was that sort of yellow. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I would get the yellow on this brush and blend it out with that. Whereas this brush from MAC, the 224, unless it's the face powder or that sort of skin toned eyeshadow, I tend to not actually use any product on this. I just actually use the clean brush and blend the edges. If I'm finding that I've got any eyeshadows that aren't blending as nicely as I'd like to, I just use this completely clean to blend out the edges, and it does an amazing job. Last brush guys, we're on to the last brush, which is our eyeliner brush, and that is a 210 brush from MAC. So this was synthetic anyway before they brought out the synthetic brushes, so you could still buy one of these and it'd still be brilliant. As you can see, it's very, very thin, so I like my eyeliner brushes to be very, very thin. I don't necessarily do eyeliner all the time, but when I do, I like to use a nice thin brush. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to do thin eyeliner. I just prefer to use a nice thin brush, especially when I'm doing a wing, because I can get a really nice, sharp, clean edge to my wing. So that is what I love that for. It's also really good as well because it's so thin to put liner in the waterline like I've done today. This is the style brush I would use. This is my absolute favourite eyeliner brush in the entire world. Just saying. But yeah, that is that. Like, I've not included any eyebrow brushes in there because I don't use like pomades in my brows. If I did, I'd just use sort of like an angled brush. Basically, that is just what I'd use. But in my brows I either use a pencil or today nothing, which is what I do most of the time. I literally just go through them with like the MAC 4/Maximizer, which is like a primer for your lashes, or just like a brow mascara, that type of thing. I just use them mostly in my brows, so I've not got a brow brush to show you. I've got brow brushes, but I don't really use them, so there's no point in me showing you them because this is supposed to be a video about my favourite brushes. So I'm not going to show you an eyebrow brush when I don't use them. Simple. That concludes my favourite brushes video, whatever you want to call it. Yes, so obviously I went through my favourite face brushes and my favourite eye brushes. I'll try and list all of these brushes in the what is it called? In the description box down below. I'll try and list all of these brushes if I can. No promises, but I will try and list them all for you, because I know sometimes like when you watch a video and you see someone mention a brush and then you'll be like, oh wait, what was that brush again, and you find yourself having to go back. So I'll try and just link them down below. I'll try and not link them, sorry, I'll try and just put the name of the brushes, the name and number of the brushes down below in the description box, and I'll try and do them in the order that I spoke about them as well. But yeah, they are all my favourite brushes. They're not all the brushes I own, I do have more, but they are my favourite brushes. Just to show you how I store my brushes, I just use them in these little IKEA pots. That is it. So there are all my other eye brushes in there. Like, it's not that I don't like them, I do like those brushes. Most of them are like double ups for these brushes anyway. It's just that these are my faves. So in they go. And then the same one for my face brushes. Although I feel like I need to get the bigger version of these because I feel like I know for a fact the face brushes don't like sit in here properly, like they don't all fit. I have to sort of arrange them in a certain way for them all to sit in, otherwise you'll have like one that just sticks up like that or something, which doesn't look good. So I have to arrange them in a certain way to make sure they all sit in there nicely. So yeah, these are my brushes. I do have more. These are just my personal brushes, they're not my kit brushes. These are just the ones I use on myself personally. I do want to get some more brushes. Let me know what your favourite brushes are, because I'd like to try some more brushes. I want to get some Molly O'Brien brushes because they look stunning. They look amazing. And I also want to try some more Peaches brushes because you can never have too many brushes, guys. Like, never. And I want some of my Kit Kat ones. They're supposed to be really good, so I'd like to try some of them. So that is it for today's video. They are all my favourite brushes. As I've already said, I will try and list them all in the description box down below, and I'll try and do them in the order that I spoke about them today. So yeah, that's everything today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below, or any suggestions for future videos, or let me know if you liked this video. Like, Hopefully you did. Let me know if you found this video useful as well, and if some of these brushes are your favourite brushes as well, or some of them you might not have tried and now you're thinking, ooh, I need that brush. I need that brush. If you think that about any of the brushes, let me know which ones it is that you're now like on your way to purchase, because I just find that interesting to know if it's just me that likes that brush or if like everyone likes that brush. Do you get me? You get me. Anyways, I'm going to stop blabbing now, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a huge thumbs up because that would mean the world to me. And if you haven't already, make sure you click the little subscription box down below. And also, I feel like I don't mention this on my channel very often, but also make sure you click the little bell so you're notified for whenever I post, which is every Wednesday and Sunday. I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.